Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Well, it finally happened. Some people are opening some champagne bottles, some other people are crying, and some other are just saying, now what? I'm talking about this article from BBC News from today, June 26, 2022. Russia in historic foreign debt default. It happened, report says. All right, so Russia has defaulted on its overseas debt for the first time in more than a century after missing a Sunday deadline, according to Bloomberg. Russia has the money to make a 100 million payment and is willing to pay, but sanctions made it impossible to get the payments to international creditors. I didn't think that BBC or the Western corporate media, not BBC, BBC is a whatever, you know what I mean? It's uh, public. It's would say this, would tell the truth that they had the money, they want to pay, but we can't because of technicalities of those guys who don't let us. And I'm pretty sure there will be ways around it, and the creditors will understand who's who, what's what, and maybe I don't know what's going to happen. Let's read. The Kremlin has been determined to avoid a default, which is a major blow to the nation's prestige. Well, if it's because of that, I don't think they consider it a default. Just so you know. The Russian finance minister branded the situation a farce. There you have it. So no prestige there lost. The last time Russia defaulted on its foreign debt was in 1918 during the Bolshevik Revolution when the new communist leader Vladimir Lenin refused to pay the debts of the Russian Empire. Russia's last debt default of any kind was in 1998 as the country was rocked by the ruble crisis during the chaotic end of Boris Yeltsin regime. At the end, that was the time when Russia was uh, great for the Western countries, when it was the whore of everybody from West. That's from 1991, let's say, to 1999. Those were the times of my life, right? Yeah, that's where they want to get Russia back to, when they could just use Russia like a lady of the night without even paying. At the same time, Moscow failed to keep up payments on its domestic bonds, but managed not to default on its overseas debt. Russia has seen on an inevitable path. Russia has seemed on an inevitable path to default since sanctions were first imposed by the US and European Union following the invasion of Ukraine. This restricted the country's access to the international banking networks, which would process payments from Russia to investors around the world. So basically the sanctions screwed up the investors who might be also investors who invested in the Western countries. So who lost credibility there? Who do you think lost credibility? If you can make me not receive my money, you can determine that, then you're the person in charge, and I will think two times dealing with you, because that could happen with me in a direct dealing with you. So nevertheless, it's just so all right. So let's see what's going on here. The Russian government has said it wants to make all of its payments on time, and up until now it had succeeded. About $40 billion of Russian debts are denominated in dollars or euros, with around half held outside the country. The $100 million interest payment was due on 27th of May. Russia says the money was sent to Euroclear, a bank which would then distribute the payments to investors. But the payment has been stuck there, according to Bloomberg News, and creditors have not received it. The money had not arrived within 30 days of the due date, that is Sunday evening, and so is considered a default. Euroclear wouldn't say if the payment had been blocked, but said it adheres to all sanctions. Default seemed inevitable when the U.S. Treasury decided not to renew the special exemption in sanctions rules, allowing investors to receive interest payments from Russia, which expired on May 25th. The Kremlin now appears to have accepted this inevitability too, decreeing on June 23rd, stating that all future debt payments would be made in rubles through a Russian bank, the National Settlements Depository, even when contracts state they should be in dollars or other international currencies. Finance Minister Anton Siluanov admitted foreign investors would not be able to receive the payments, according to a RIA Novosti news agency. This was for two reasons, he said. The first is that foreign infrastructure, correspondent banks, settlement and clearing systems, depositories, are prohibited from conducting any operations related to Russia. The second is that foreign investors are expressly prohibited from receiving payments from us. So it's not them. Because Russia wants to pay and has plenty of money to do it, he denied that this amounts to a genuine default, which usually occur when governments refuse to pay or their economies are so weak that they cannot find the money. Everyone in the know understands that this is not a default at all. RIA Novosti quoted him. This whole situation looks like a farce. Though default is a symbolic blow, it will have few immediate practical consequences for Russia. Defaulting nations usually find it impossible to borrow any more money, but Russia is already effectively barred from borrowing in Western markets by sanctions. In any case, it is reportedly earning around $1 billion a day from fossil fuel exports, and Mr. Siluanov said in April that the country had no plans to borrow more. Yeah, so they're self-sufficient. So you just hurt the investors, and those investors might be some, as I said, that may be invested in your countries. So now what? A fake a default, they will all, beat their chest. Oh, yeah, they did it. With no, it's like barking without biting. That's what probably is. And the ones that lost are the investors. But if they would be paid in rubles, and the ruble is is going to become probably with the yuan of China, I don't know, another reserve currency, global currency, and will undermine a little bit the dollar. I think that would hurt again those guys more than the guys that the sanctions were imposed on. Nevertheless, it's a great, I don't know, great chance for a country to get rid of debts in a way of not borrowing anymore and try to make it on their own. And I'm pretty sure, I think they already did through BRICS. They opened a certain kind of I don't want to say how we call it, investment bank where countries can borrow money from there, and they can lend money to those countries, and they will do that, which is a no-no because the international community, the big club, also already has the IMF and the World Bank, which is again ruled by the same guys who dictated here that you can't make your payment. So losing credibility, and when you lose credibility, and I don't think Russians lost credibility more than the other side, because if I would look over there as I'm looking as an investor, this guy has the money, wants to give it to me, but is barred by whom? You're not going to go, is barred by the war. Without the sanctions, he would have paid me the money. So it's not the war, it's the guys who decided to put sanctions because of the war. Why did they put sanctions? Because of the war. Because this is okay. Then what am I going to do now? I'm going to say, hey, you started the war? Okay. But still, you got the money. You want to give him the money. So at the end, I get the same source. You are responsible for me not getting the money from the guy who wants to give me the money. So however you turn me, you have the key and you locked the door. Not them. They maybe were rude towards you, but you locked the door. Not them. They have the money and are behind on the other side of the door with the money ready to give it to me. But you close the door so they can't give it to me. So, hey, open the door. Hey, stop the war. Well, okay, stop the war. Partly responsible, nevertheless. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.